that go down into this tree island. Obviously, when we're looking at this kind of style course, you want to use the bigger trees. You could, or I can envision, I hope you can, you know, the ability to come up right at grade here and with some platforms on the trees. Using the natural slope, you would get higher as you go down along the tree line. You should go look at the Grand Lebacan site again because they have a lot of good information on it. But this could be, we probably have 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 different courses up here. This could be one. If you walk over here over to the southern exposure, you could have the kids course because it's right on grade, and it would be low to the ground. The trees could be a little smaller to use, and so you could have the lower level course there. And then as we walk down the ridgeline a little farther, you have another big island of trees with very mature trees that you could do things. You could go do as much as having a zip over Slalom Glade Trail there if you wanted. So it really comes down to design, to having the challenge course designers and engineers come up here and work with staff and the community to see what we could put together and piece together with these different tree islands. But the real point is to have them blend in and to have it look, I like to use the term organic because it really does. I mean, like it should be there, like it fits into the environment, not like what you'll see at the Vail Resorts, which is just a giant thing that would be right out in the center with ropes all over it. So we want it to fit and be very comfortable in the environment.
And just if you haven't been to Sky Tavern, at the base of Sky Tavern, part of their resort is a challenge course that blends completely in. And people ski right through it in the winter, and then in the summer they set it back up. So there's precedent even in the area where they can do that.
Right.
Brett, why does the canopy tour cost like 4 times as much as like a whole set of challenge courses?
Because it will probably be close to 2 miles long, okay. And the engineering it takes to go from point A to point B with the cable length and everything is quite an engineering feat. So you're paying for engineering and design between those.
And the materials are different too. I mean, it's a heavier duty material on the canopy tour.
Yeah, just even running a cable that long way up there, just costs more. So another neat thing about areas like this, the way we kind of, Brad and I have been talking about for a couple of years now, is just we kind of wanted to go away from the deck a little bit, just so there's not quite as much noise. If somebody doesn't really have a family and they want to enjoy a nice barbecue or something, but you kind of over here is kind of, it's a lot shadier really, because we kept looking maybe on the back side and the front of the lodge over there a little bit, but we like this area too. Another reason is because we think that anytime we can get exposure, so you're looking at people coming up the lift, they're going to see people on the challenge course and kind of seeing kids and people having a good time. It just seems kind of like a really good fit. We were walking down there all last summer and then a little bit this morning, just kind of looking around. It just seems to work really well. But again, like Brad said, it's all conceptual. There's many areas around here, and it really would come down to people that really design and engineer those things that tell us where exactly the best fit would be.
Is the kind of the flow of the people, you start here, you end up back down at the lodge, or do you end up back up here eventually?
So you end up back up here.
You do end up here.
Yeah, so you'll start and finish here, but you'll have different, what will happen is you'll have different levels, so you'll have a beginner, an intermediate, an advanced, and maybe an expert, and you will challenge yourself with the various courses. So you may come up here and only do the beginner and intermediate the first time, but then when you come back, you'll most likely challenge yourself to the next one. So it encourages multiple use, and then you can always time yourself. You can do all kinds of fun things with it. But when you get up to the high intermediate and advanced level, it's a challenge. I mean, it's a physical challenge, and the beauty is that, as I mentioned before, you're always locked in, so you can't fall. But I can tell you, having done it, it's still fairly scary because you're 30 feet in the air. Hanging by anything is scary. But that's why they call it a challenge course, because it really does challenge, your spirit. So, and we could go into who you sell this to. Definitely families, definitely mom, dad, and the kids, but also the corporate groups. Yeah, are really, that it really right up their alley for the folks staying at the Hyatt or doing the vacation rentals. So
Team building. Did you look
at
at
team building.
just like I know it's a mix of stuff. You do like just zip lining, like you start here and up down there. Like Gunstock has a big zip line.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys look at that?
Yeah, what will likely happen, he's asking about the difference between a zip line and a canopy tour. What will likely happen is our canopy tour will probably consist of a couple of actual zips. And a zip is where you cover more vertical drop going down, where a canopy tour is generally back and forth at a fairly low grade. But because of the elevation that we're going to have to drop there, we'll probably have some zip lines, and you'll have the self-braking harnesses and things.
So my question was, is there more money, I guess, in having just a zip where you zip down quick? And,
what we don't like about just a zip line is, it's for anybody that has done it before, you would only do it once, and it's a 45-minute second, nothing. Whereas a canopy tour, it's each of the different legs is different. And having done it on the island, the guides have named, you end up naming them all, and they have personalities because some really accelerate from the beginning and some don't, and some are higher, some are lower, and it's just a lot more fun than having just, because we could do a zip right down into the base area if we wanted to, but if you get off it and go, well, that's a bucket list thing, but this is really a learning experience.
But at $100 a pop, are there a lot of people who are going to keep doing that over and over?
You'd be surprised.
I would.
It's funny. One thing you learn in marketing is you don't market to yourself. You want to market to the market. You want to market to the people you think will be using it. And so that because Judy won't do it, or I wouldn't do it twice, doesn't mean that other people won't do it. And what we'll find, and what we found on the island, and what we'll find here is these kinds of activities will be the stuff that you will either bring your friends to or suggest your friends come, and you come with them. And whenever, and we all have guests, and we all know what is there to do. You're always trying to make an itinerary up for them. And these are the kinds of activities that you'll be suggesting they do in the summertime for sure. So and if they're not skiers, you'll suggest it in the winter.
What's the time that you, when I call it, is it camping for like 2 or 3 hours? Or
yes.
It's a long time.
It's a long time, yeah. And that's why it's $125 or thereabouts, is because the length of time is dedicated to it, so it's a fairly good chunk of time.
And I think back to your question, Al, is that when you get into the engineering for our land and slope and opportunities, of what's canopy and what there might be some zip opportunities within that experience that we say we want to do or phase in later, that bring that element in if we think it's attractive. But again, trying to stay up at concept level, it's that kind of stuff, so that,
well, there's other add-ons like Tarzan swings and all kinds of things that we could do on that are add-ons to some of the canopy tours that people will do.
But you have a couple of zip lines. For the rest of the time, how do you get from one spot to the other?
There'll be, right now, I think we show 8 different zips back and forth across.
Zips. So but it's an individual going on a zip.
Yeah, you'll have so what it is, you'll have on one zip line, or one zip line, you'll have a platform on one end and a platform on the other. You'll have a guide on one platform and a guide on the other. So the guide sends the people to the other guide. They wait till everybody comes across. And then frequently you'll walk from one platform, short walk from one to the next, and then zip across that next one.
and you're climbing too at points, to get elevated.